Welcome, truth seekers, to a thought-provoking adventure that will challenge your understanding of the world. In today's video, we unveil 10 insane conspiracy theories that, against all odds, were eventually proven to be true. Get ready to question everything as we delve into the shadows of secrecy and unravel the web of hidden truths. Conspiracy 1, Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was developed within the U.S. government as a response to the political climate of the Cold War and the heightened tensions between the United States and Cuba. It was presented as a potential plan to stage acts of violence and terrorism against American targets, with the goal of justifying a military intervention in Cuba. Operation Northwoods was developed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the highest-ranking military body in the United States, composed of the heads of the different branches of the military. It was presented to then U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara in 1962. Although the plan was presented to McNamara, it was ultimately rejected by both McNamara and President John F. Kennedy. They deemed the proposed actions morally and ethically unacceptable. Operation Northwoods never moved beyond the planning stage and was not implemented. Operation Northwoods remained classified for several decades after its rejection. It was declassified in the early 2000s and became public knowledge when the documents were released under the John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act. The declassified documents shed light on the plan's existence and its proposed actions. Conspiracy 2, MKUltra. MKUltra was officially launched in the 1950s and aimed to explore and develop techniques for mind control, psychological manipulation, and interrogation. The program's objectives included finding methods to extract information from individuals without their consent, creating programmable assassins, and developing substances for covert use. MKUltra involved numerous unethical experiments on unwitting human subjects, including both civilians and military personnel. Many individuals were subjected to the administration of LSD and other drugs without their knowledge or consent, leading to severe psychological and physical consequences for some. The revelations about MKUltra led to public outrage and calls for increased oversight and accountability of intelligence agencies. In 1973, the CIA director ordered the destruction of most MKUltra files, making it difficult to determine the full extent of the program's activities. However, the available documentation suggests that MKUltra's goals were not fully achieved, and its effectiveness in achieving mind control remains questionable. Conspiracy 3, Tuskegee Syphilis Study. The study enrolled 600 African American men, 399 of whom had syphilis, while 201 served as a control group without the disease. The participants were recruited from the rural Macon County, Alabama, and were predominantly poor and uneducated. The Tuskegee Syphilis study is widely condemned for its unethical nature. Participants were deceived about the true purpose of the study and were not informed that they had syphilis. They were told that they were receiving free medical care, but in reality, they were left untreated and denied access to effective treatment even after penicillin became widely available as a cure. The study was initially designed to last 6 months but continued for 40 years until its exposure in 1972. As a result of the study's unethical practices, many participants suffered needless pain, health complications, and even death due to the untreated syphilis. Additionally, the wives and children of participants were also affected by the disease. Conspiracy 4, Operation Paperclip. The primary objective of Operation Paperclip was to bring German scientists and their expertise to the United States to gain a technological advantage over the Soviet Union during the early stages of the Cold War. The program aimed to harness the scientific knowledge and technological advancements developed by German scientists during World War II. Under Operation Paperclip, U.S. military intelligence officers identified and recruited German scientists, particularly those involved in fields such as rocketry, aerospace engineering, medicine, and weapons development. Notable scientists, such as Wernher von Braun, who played a crucial role in the development of the V-2 rocket, were among those recruited. The operation has been subject to criticism and controversy due to the recruitment of scientists who had been members of the Nazi Party or had involvement in war crimes. Some of these scientists had utilized forced labor or conducted experiments on human subjects during the war. Despite these concerns, the U.S. government considered their scientific expertise valuable and sought to exploit it for strategic purposes. Conspiracy 5, NSA Surveillance. The NSA specializes in signals intelligence, which involves intercepting and analyzing electronic communications, including phone calls, emails, internet browsing activities, and other forms of electronic data transmission. The agency uses various technologies and methods to collect and process vast amounts of information. NSA surveillance has been a subject of significant controversy and debate, particularly following the disclosures made by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden in 2013. Snowden's revelations revealed the extent of the NSA's surveillance programs, raising concerns about privacy, civil liberties, and the potential for abuse of power. The NSA has been involved in various surveillance programs and techniques. Some notable programs include PRISM, which involves the collection of Internet communications from major tech companies, and the bulk collection of telephone metadata under Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act. The agency also engages in targeted surveillance of specific individuals and groups of interest. Conspiracy 6, Gulf of Tonkin Incident. The Gulf of Tonkin incident refers to two separate incidents that occurred in August 1964 in the Gulf of Tonkin, off the coast of North Vietnam. It played a significant role in escalating U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. First incident, August 2, 1964. The USS Maddox, a U.S. Navy destroyer, was on an intelligence-gathering mission in international waters in the Gulf of Tonkin. It reported being attacked by North Vietnamese patrol boats. The Maddox fired in self-defense and successfully repelled the attack. There is evidence to suggest that the initial reports of an attack may have been exaggerated or misinterpreted. Second incident, August 4, 1964. 2 days later, the USS Maddox and another destroyer, the USS Turner Joy, reported being attacked again by North Vietnamese patrol boats. However, subsequent investigations and declassified documents have raised doubts about the veracity of the second attack. It is now widely believed that the perceived attack on August 4 was likely a result of false radar images and overreactions by the crew. In response to the reported attacks, President Lyndon B. Johnson ordered airstrikes against North Vietnamese naval bases and an expansion of U.S. military involvement in Vietnam. The incidents prompted the U.S. Congress to pass the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which granted President Johnson broad authority to use military force in Vietnam without a formal declaration of war. Over time, doubts and skepticism emerged regarding the accuracy and justification of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Critics argue that the U.S. government may have used the incidents as a pretext to escalate military action in Vietnam. The revelations and controversies surrounding the Gulf of Tonkin incident contributed to growing public opposition to the war and fueled anti-war sentiments. In 2005, a declassified National Security Agency (NSA) study revealed that the second attack, which had served as a justification for the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, likely never occurred. The study indicated that the radar signals that were interpreted as enemy attacks were most probably due to weather conditions and false radar images. Conspiracy 7, Iran-Contra Affair. In the 1980s, Iran was involved in a protracted war with Iraq. Despite an official U.S. arms embargo, senior U.S. officials, including members of President Ronald Reagan's administration, facilitated the secret sale of weapons to Iran. The objective was to secure the release of American hostages held in Lebanon and to establish a more favorable relationship with Iran. The Iran-Contra affair came to light in November 1986 when a Lebanese newspaper exposed the secret arms deals with Iran. A subsequent investigation by the U.S. Congress revealed the diversion of funds to the Contras. Multiple hearings were conducted, including those by the Tower Commission and the Joint Congressional Committees. Several individuals were indicted and faced legal consequences as a result of the Iran-Contra affair. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, a National Security Council staff member, became a key figure in the scandal. He was convicted of multiple charges, including obstruction of Congress, but his convictions were later overturned on appeal. The Iran-Contra affair had significant political repercussions. It damaged the Reagan administration's reputation and raised questions about the legality and ethics of its actions. The affair also strained U.S. relations with Iran and impacted U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East and Latin America. Conspiracy 8, Operation Gladio. Operation Gladio was initially conceived as a covert paramilitary network to counter potential Soviet occupation or influence in Europe. The operation was organized and coordinated by NATO's Allied Clandestine Committee and implemented in collaboration with national intelligence agencies and military forces. The stay-behind networks worked closely with national intelligence agencies, particularly those involved in anti-communist activities. They received logistical and financial support, as well as intelligence and training, from these agencies. The CIA played a significant role in supporting the Gladio operations, particularly in Italy. While Operation Gladio was primarily conceived as a defensive strategy, there have been allegations of the involvement of Gladio operatives in controversial activities. These allegations include the orchestration of bombings, assassinations, and other acts of violence, sometimes attributed to false flag operations. Some of these activities were aimed at influencing domestic politics and combating perceived threats from communist or leftist movements. Operation Gladio became publicly known in the early 1990s following revelations and investigations in Italy and other countries. The exposure of Gladio led to significant political and public controversy, raising concerns about the violation of democratic principles and the extent of intelligence agency activities. Several parliamentary inquiries were conducted to investigate the operation and its activities. Conspiracy 9, Watergate Scandal. On June 17, 1972, 5 men were arrested while attempting to wiretap phones and steal documents at the DNC headquarters, located in the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. The burglars were connected to President Nixon's re-election campaign, the Committee to Re-elect the President, CRP, and had ties to the CIA. Initial investigations into the Watergate break-in revealed a series of illegal activities and attempts to cover them up. As journalists from The Washington Post, particularly Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, pursued the story, evidence emerged linking the break-in to a broader web of misconduct, including illegal campaign contributions, abuses of power, and obstruction of justice. The Senate Watergate Committee and the House Judiciary Committee conducted extensive hearings to investigate the Watergate scandal. The testimony and evidence presented during these hearings implicated senior officials within the Nixon administration. Facing impeachment by the House of Representatives, President Nixon chose to resign on August 8, 1974, becoming the first U.S. president to do so. Conspiracy 10, Project Blue Book. The primary goal of Project Blue Book was to scientifically analyze UFO sightings and determine if they posed a threat to national security. The project aimed to collect, evaluate, and catalog UFO reports and provide explanations for sightings through conventional or natural phenomena. The USAF promoted Project Blue Book as an effort to address public interest in UFOs and provide a systematic approach to investigating sightings. However, the project faced criticism from skeptics who believed it was a cover-up to conceal genuine extraterrestrial encounters. In 1969, the USAF officially ended Project Blue Book, citing that it had achieved its goals and that there was no evidence of a threat to national security. And there you have it, 10 astonishing conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. As we peel back the layers of secrecy, we realize that truth can indeed be stranger than fiction. Remember to question, investigate, and seek the truth in a world where not everything is as it seems. If you found this video fascinating and informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Robot Ray channel for more incredible explorations. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on exploring.